Welcome to the PMI pod. I'm your host, Gemma Penkethman, and today I'm joined by Mark Frost, who is a vitality health specialist. Thank you for joining me today, Mark. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm excited for this session. Do you want to start us off by telling us a little bit about your role?
Yeah, can do. I've been at Vitality for nearly 20 years. I started as a sales trainer, so that's where I met a few of your guys. And then I moved into my current role, which is Vitality Health Specialist. And effectively, it's kind of a 50-50 split between making sure that our business consultants are fully up to speed with the plan, and helping them with any technical questions. And then the other 50% is helping our BCs to kind of secure some of the new to Vitality clients that we can try and win. It's a bit of a hybrid role. Our BCs or business consultants are the people that your advisors will deal with mainly, and I guess I'm there for technical support and also I can talk to clients. It's kind of helping them to win as many cases as we can.
Sounds like a very busy job.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it can be, but it's all good.
Good, good. So I've got you on today because Vitality have always been a little bit different in the market. They've always been big on the preventative element of healthcare, and not many people look at that. So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about why you think prevention's so important.
It's massively important to us. And one of the first bits of research that I remember delivering, not only internally but externally as well, was a model called the 4460 model. And what this basically says is that there are four lifestyle choices that effectively are responsible for up to 60% of deaths worldwide every year. And that's smoking, diet, lack of exercise, and alcohol consumption. And what those four lifestyle choices lead to can be cardiovascular disease, cancer, lung disease, and diabetes. And as I said, that equates for effectively 60% of deaths worldwide every year.
Mm.
But
Wow.
what we've seen over the last kind of 20 to 30 years is how risk profiles within the UK's population has changed. So in the 90s, probably the biggest risk was smoking. I'm sure most people remember kind of going for a Friday, Saturday night out, coming home smelling the cigarettes, even though you weren't the ones that were smoking them. Um, but due to lots of things, not only what the government has done, but a few other elements, that risk is dropping because, for a start, everyone is now so aware of the dangers. But also, the government have made it harder for kids to get hooked by continually changing the age at which you can buy cigarettes, and also the ban on smoking indoors. So, kind of, that was the risk profile when we first launched. But actually, that has now progressed over the last 10 years to obesity rates. And in the last 10 years, we've seen a 50% increase in obesity rates with working age adults. And the group that's
Wow.
most effective being is the under 35s. So that has a huge impact on kind of our claims fund, but also, more importantly, on the health of our members. So if you think obesity doesn't just affect your major organs, but also the musculoskeletal system as well.
Mm.
Government also spends around £10 billion a year on treating diabetes, which is a scary number. It's about 10% of their budget. Those are pretty big, scary figures. And our own figures say that a member with a BMI of over 30 is 123% more likely to be hospitalized for a cardiac condition than somebody with
Wow.
a BMI of
That's
under 30.
that's a big statistic.
It's frightening, actually, when you look at, and I'm sure every insurer has their own kind of set of results. So we look at those kind of bits of information and say, well, that has an impact on our claims fund as an insurer. But also, as we say, it's about keeping our members as members for as long as we can. And if we can keep them healthy, then ultimately they're going to live longer and stay as part of, Vitality for a longer term. So it's about sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. So some really interesting facts and figures there, Mark. Thank you for that.
No
And
worries.
a couple of things you said there have tied into things that I've read recently. So we had reports that came out last year. We had the government's 10-year health plan,
Yeah.
and we had the Keep Britain Working report. And the government's plan that it really outlined a need for the NHS to move away from just treating illnesses to actively managing health and looking at that preventative model. And the Keep Britain Working Report, I mean, that was in the same vein. It was all focusing on prevention rather than just the cure. Now, Vitality have heavily leaned into that preventative space. Do you think more insurers will follow suit and go that way as time goes on?
Um, I mean, we've been doing it for 20 years, as we said, and it's always been fundamental to the plan itself. Now, granted, people don't have to get involved with the vitality proposition if they don't want to, because the insurance kind of stands on its own. And I guess we have seen other insurers kind of dabble with it. So we've seen people introduce gym discounts, we've seen them introduce perk box type benefits.
Yeah.
Um, but it doesn't look like anybody at the moment has kind of grasped that nettle and said, "Do you know what, let's embed it into everything we do." I know You Life have dabbled with it a little bit. And obviously they have a relationship with Bupa as opposed to a standalone health plan. But I think other than dabbling in it, at the moment, nobody seems like they're willing to kind of dive in with both feet. So I mean, obviously that's good for us because it
Yeah.
still it still keeps us as the market leader. But um, I guess ultimately, as we said a minute ago, it's about sustainability, and insurers are going to have to, I think, embed it a little bit more in their plans. So I think they probably will.
Yeah, I mean, Vitality have definitely led the way with this. Absolutely. Do you think that you'll go further and look at more preventative benefits and options within the PMI product itself?
Yeah, without a doubt. We are always, I mean, we don't do it quite as much as we used to. So for those of you that have been in the industry for a while, can probably remember us doing 2 launches a year, which was good because it kept me in a job. But it was also quite difficult to stay on top of what we were doing. So I think, yeah, we will definitely be looking to bring in more partners to go in different directions. I mean, currently there's a lot of buzz around weight loss jabs.
Yes.
Being humans, we look for the quick win rather than trying to change lifestyles. And we've recently announced a partnership with Boots that's going to help members to get their hands on some of these injections, but also make it more of a sustainable change of habit rather than just look for a quick win. And we've got more partners coming out later on in the year with cycle partners, sports shoes, golf partners, all that sort of stuff. So we're definitely not going to stand still. What the next iteration is, I don't know. And if I did, I wouldn't be allowed to tell you because everything is very, very closely guarded. But yeah, we're definitely looking to continue to expand on what we do. And one of the things actually that we have just done is we are looking at changing thresholds for people that are less able. So, we've always been a case of you need to do X amount of activity in order to earn points, but we've now kind of got an understanding that not everybody is physically able to do that.
Yeah.
So, we've now come up with a way to make these targets more personal to people that are less able to do them. And that's something that we're about to launch. So kind of lower thresholds for people with mobility issues so that they feel like they're being involved and actually they can start to get their hands on some points and earn some of the status rewards as well. So yeah, so that's definitely coming.
Oh, that's exciting. So making the rewards more inclusive, I mean, that's fantastic. And like you mentioned about the weight loss jabs there, I mean, gosh, I think everyone knows somebody that's on them these
Yeah,
days.
absolutely. And look, they are really effective. I think
Yeah.
on average, our members are losing something like 9% of their body weight
Wow.
once they've
Really
started to use
good.
them. And yeah, like you, I've got colleagues that are using them and they look fabulous, in fairness. I guess the big worry is the sustainability element. Once you stop the jabs, do you then go back to previous habits and start to put that weight on? So that's where kind of they're massively important things to be able to get your hands on, but actually they need to be part of a whole lifestyle change rather than just use those jabs to shed some pounds.
Absolutely. And I suppose that's where the vitality rewards and engagement side of things comes into things because you're encouraging people to be active as well. It's not just the diet and the food that they're eating. It's getting active alongside it and promoting that healthy lifestyle, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah, absolutely is. And you know, for me, I'd like to see more partners that are a little bit more geographically spread,
Mm.
and hopefully we can go down that road in order just to encourage people to, as you say, get out, stick some trainers on, especially at the moment when the weather's turning nicer, and just it's not only good physically, obviously it's good for your mental health as well to be out and about. So yeah, definitely something that we'll continue to do.
Oh, exciting. So watch this space then. I look forward to it. So moving away from like the rewards and the weight loss side of things, everyone that I speak to in healthcare tends to have like a claim or a scenario that's stuck with them, a bit of like a good news story, I suppose, or a good example of where PMI has worked really well. Have you got a story for us?
Yeah, yeah, so I've been in PMI for a very, very long time. So there are quite a lot. But actually, I think the one that resonated with me was actually pretty recent, and it was at your the national training event that we
Oh,
held with
yeah.
you guys a couple of weeks ago. So my session there was all about health screens and our partnership with Blue Crest, and we were talking about the health screening proposition that we've got, where people can go for 30-minute test free of charge. And actually, it was one of your advisors volunteered at the end of the session that he'd gone for a health screening through Blue Crest with us a number of years ago. And at the screening, the clinician noticed an irregularity with his heart rate.
Yes.
So I don't know if you remember it, but the guy said so. They had a consultation arranged pretty quickly, where he was diagnosed with a congenital heart condition that he had no idea he'd had. Short procedure later, everything's fine, and he's now in really fine health, which is great news. And for me, that just shows how important regular checkups are, and also the speed at which conditions like this can be treated within private healthcare. So, and if you think from an NHS perspective, it would obviously take an awful lot longer because he'd need a GP referral, then he'd have to sit on a waiting list to get to see a consultant. Whereas because he was not only did he have it identified at a health check, so it was diagnosed by a clinician really quickly. We then got it moving and got that claim paid. And he's, as we said, he certainly seemed in fine form a couple of months ago when we saw
You
him. So
did.
yeah, so that one really resonated for me.
Yeah, I remember him telling us about this, and I thought, wow, that is a fantastic example of how PMI works, but how the preventative element works as well. I
Yeah,
mean, when would that have been picked up on the NHS? Who
but it wouldn't.
knows? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's the point. It wouldn't unless he'd have gone for some sort of well man check with his GP. And they're again they're really difficult to get hold of these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure it ever would have been. So yeah, that was a really good
Yeah.
news story.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's scary to think what could happen if that was just left undetected for,
Yeah.
however long. But yeah, no, it's a great story, great example of how preventative healthcare works and how PMI works and how Vitality has worked really well for him. So yeah, wonderful. I'm going to do a quick round of PMI myth or fact with you, if that's all right, Mark.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to give you a statement, and I want you to tell me whether it's a myth or a fact. So the first one, PMI replaces the NHS.
No, not for me. Personally, I feel it complements it.
Yes.
We know that PMI, whilst it is becoming more and more popular because of the state of the NHS at the moment, it's still not on many people's radar because of their budgets. So for me, those people who can afford it and have it use the private sector, which then frees up resources for those that can't. So for me, it's never going to replace it. And also, the private sector is not set up for a lot of conditions. I mean, childbirth is a great example.
Yeah.
I know there was certainly complications when my first daughter was born, and to not have the resources that the NHS had there and then, we'd have been in all sorts of trouble. So, yeah, it absolutely isn't going to replace it. Yeah, it's a complementary service rather than a replacement.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. So the next one, PMI is only for large companies.
No, absolutely not. So there's somewhere in the region of, just over 1 million businesses in the UK with less than 10 employees.
Oh, wow.
And I imagine a good proportion of those are family-run firms that employs different generations of the same family. And you could probably argue quite convincingly that losing one of those employees to illness would have a greater impact on the sustainability of that business than somebody that works for 100 strong company being out ill. So no. So for me, it's for anybody that can afford it.
Yeah,
And again,
absolutely.
obviously blowing our own trumpet. What we do at Vitality with the wellbeing proposition, it also gives those smaller firms the feeling of a corporate level benefit with gyms and health screens and cheaper nights out and all of that sort of thing. So no, for me, it's for anybody that can afford it, and ideally for those smaller businesses as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we tend to see a lot of business in that small business space, sort of 2 to 9 lives almost. We see a lot
Agreed.
of companies because, as you rightly said, the impact of one person being off in a company of that size it can be catastrophic. It really
Absolutely. Yeah.
can.
Yeah. And I know as salespeople, we always try and catch the big fish. It's always about those
Yeah.
great big premiums. Those are the nice ones. But actually you feel like you're doing a good job for a smaller firm because it will have a real impact on that and sometimes on that business surviving. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's definitely for the smaller firms as well.
Yeah, wonderful. And the last myth or fact I've got for you is mental health claims are increasing. Myth or fact?
Absolute fact. Yes, they definitely are. And I think there's a number of reasons for this. Um, I think lockdown had a huge impact on everybody's mental health, and it made us all a lot more aware of our mental health. So in that regard, I think it's helped. What we've seen is so we launched Talking Therapies back in 2019, and from the 5 year period from 2019 to 2024, we've seen a 167% increase in
Wow.
in usage. So yeah, it absolutely backs up the fact that there are more mental health claims. Now, this could be due to the fact that we put it in core cover, and we made it dead easy to claim on. And also, you can use it for general plan exclusions and pre-existing conditions. But even saying that, yeah, just more and more people are using these benefits. So yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, and that's something I really really like about the vitality proposition is the fact that you do have that in the core cover, and you don't take all the underwriting into consideration with it. I think that has yes, it's probably meant that your claims have increased, but behind that, what it's meant is that people have been helped. People have got access to that where they wouldn't usually have it. So I think that was a really 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 good move on Vitality's part.
Yeah, and actually, I think conversely, I think it's saved us money, because of those people that have talking therapies, there's somewhere in the region of 95% don't need any further treatment. So
Right.
because they're getting that access to that treatment really quickly, we're almost nipping it in the bud early. And we've seen a 40% decrease in hospitalizations for mental health over that same period. So because they've got access to that treatment quickly, we've got them sorted, we've got them, in a better state of mind. Actually, it's not progressed into something that's become big, scary, and they've needed to be in hospital for. So, yeah, it's whilst it's going up, the number of people that are using it, actually, that I think cost wise, we're pretty much saving on it, which is really good.
That's incredible. And again, it's almost preventative, isn't it? It's preventing something from escalating and becoming a much bigger, more serious problem.
Yeah, it is, and what we've seen is a lot of younger people are struggling with their mental health,
Mm.
and the fact that it's available on an app, with an app-based solution as well, they don't actually have to talk to anybody if they don't want to. It just encourages them to use it as well. So yeah, I think it's one of the best things we've done over the last 5 years. I think is introduce this benefit.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And the fact that you've got the app and people, younger people that may be feeling anxious about seeking help or, worried about having to speak to someone, you've taken away that barrier for them because the app is there to support. It's really good. Yeah, I definitely think I agree with you there. It's one of the best things you've done in the last 5 years. Absolutely. Um, I mean, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, Mark, and thanks so much for joining me.
Of course.
But unfortunately, I think that's probably all we've got time for today. So if you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the PMI pod.
Much.